Hello everyone and welcome to The Sincere Lifestyle. I am so glad you joined me today. Today I am sharing my fashion journey and tips for everyone who is interested in entering the fashion industry. You know, growing up, I really didn't see anyone who was in the industry in my inner circle. And you know what, I didn't really have a lot of advice on what it looked like to enter the fashion industry. So I'm really happy to be sharing my tips and tricks for how to get into the fashion industry and sharing my story. So my journey began when I was really young and I was playing with dolls, elementary school age. And so what I would do is get little pieces of fabric, cut little pieces of cloth that we didn't need anymore, and hot glue them like all together and create little outfits for my dolls. And you know, that was my way of creating things that weren't available in store. You know, at the same time, my mother had such a sense of style. People would stop her in the streets of Brooklyn and ask her, "Are you Diana Ross?" Because she had that vibe. She looked like Diana Ross. She had the hair, she had the style, she had the vibe, the shoes, you know, the stilettos, the vibrant colors, the fur, all of that. And even like the sparkly shoes. I was just like, I was inspired by her sense of style. And you know, I would create pieces that I didn't necessarily see, like even from hot gluing pieces together for my dolls. Like I would just create things, and you know, she definitely served as such a fashion inspiration. And from there, my mom taught me how to sew right around middle school age. And so I began creating pieces for myself. I began creating like pillows, decorative things, and bags, like anything that I could get my hands on, like fabric. I would just sew and make things. And so, you know, I always loved it. It was a creative outlet for me. It brought me peace. It brought me joy. But I didn't see it as a career. No one around me was making clothing or in the fashion industry. I didn't even know that was a possible career path that I could pursue. And you know, being first generation American, my parents came from Haiti. They had a really specific view of what it looked like to be successful. And that was either in the medical field or the law field. And I didn't have any examples of what that looked like, you know, in the field of my passion, which was design, the fashion industry. So in my mind, I was like, okay, I can be a lawyer. I can see myself being a lawyer. Let me pursue that. I was like 5 when I decided this, okay? So I landed my dream school, which was New York University. You know, I'm a native New Yorker, so I was just like, this school is perfect for me. This school can help me, set me up so I can become a lawyer. And so I dual majored in philosophy and Africana studies. I minored in Spanish, you know, just in case I wanted to go the international law route. And you know, I brought my sewing machine with me. So I would always sew in the dorm room. So I would sew, you know, anything from like pillows made out of fabrics I couldn't get in stores to cute little outfits. Me and my girlfriend would go out, you know, to the clubs in New York City, and I would be wearing, you know, something that I created. And you know, of course, you know, I had good grades, so we would come back, we would go to the study room and study, not sleep. This is all something you can only do when you're like a 19-something, 20-something. But you know what? I was sewing in my dorm room and studying, thinking law school was my path. And this all shifted junior year of college. So, you know, I'm in New York City. I apply for the Ghana Study Abroad program. So Ghana is a beautiful country in West Africa, and at that point it was the second semester that this program was opened up to students. And I would be able to study philosophy there, I would be able to study history there, but also art, which really intrigued me because, as I said, this was my passion. So I was like, I can take an elective in art. Yes, I'm doing it. And you know, I flew over there, and I didn't really know too much about Africa. It was my very first time, nothing about West Africa or Ghana. And you know what? I was in for a ride because it was one of the most enriching times of my life. I got an opportunity to really delve into the culture, which was important for me because being Haitian American, around 75% of the descendants of West Africa were actually imported, I should say, through the transatlantic slave trade to the Caribbean islands. And so it was me getting a glimpse of, my history. Not only that, I got a chance to volunteer at a local middle school. So I taught about 60 students that were middle school to junior high school age, and they were all so lovely. They called me Miss Cindy. They were so polite. Because at this time I was, when I was back home at NYU, I would, do work-study program where I would work in New York City schools part-time and be an assistant teacher there. So for me, I was just like, why are these students so nice? I would drop chalk, they would pick it up for me even before I could pick it up, and they're sitting in their seats in the classroom and I'm by the board, and they would just be like, here you go, madame. I'm like, me, madame? Oh my goodness, who are these children? I love them. And so I got a chance to, proctor a photography club with about 12 of these middle school children. And so just getting a chance to capture the world around them, that was really the goal of this photography club. And so we would go to different art galleries. The colors of the art was just what popped out to me. Just vibrant colors, just really depicting what it looked like to live a Ghanaian life. But these are all the things that really tapped into that creative side. Although I didn't have my sewing machine that semester, I had a whole world in front of me that was jumping out at me, that was just so enriching beyond belief. And what was really dynamic about that semester there was the fabrics I encountered. I encountered these beautiful stamped fabrics from mud cloth fabrics, and also hand-woven traditional kente textiles. And with these amazing fabrics, I also got introduced to seamstresses in the area that basically allowed me to take my sketches and bring them to life. And these seamstresses were so skilled. They would measure my body, they would look at my sketches, and we would have about 2 fittings, and they would create these sketches that I made into life in such a wonderful fashion. So I came back to New York City that senior year, and it was all about studying for the LSAT intensively. And then also, what I had in my mind was that I was going to take a bridge year where I study more to really get into that law school that I really wanted to get into, and then work as a paralegal at the same time. So I brought back with me all of these pieces that I made, and they were filled with vibrant colors, wovens that were just beautiful, from using the stamped cloth textiles in Ghana to even the hand-woven kente textiles. And wearing them, people always asked, where can I get these? Where can I buy these? Where did you buy this? I'm just like, you can't get this in New York City. Like, I literally made these one-off pieces back in Ghana. And so, in my mind, it was always just that law school route, not thinking that this fashion that I just love to create, to make pieces, can be something that I could pursue. Never in my mind. And so, I landed a great law firm to be a paralegal at. I was taking my LSAT intensive courses to study intensively, taking all of these, past LSAT tests to really just focus on how to take this test, how to do well. But at the same time, a colleague and I started a collection. We started a line, and we actually got great traction. It was using these hand-woven textiles from West Africa, very vibrant, women's wear collection, all woven, so from dresses to jackets. And lo and behold, we got into Vogue Spain, Essence, Ebony, Lucky Magazine when Lucky Magazine existed. It was just like beyond New York Times, beyond what I could imagine. So, I'm studying for the LSAT, working intensively for this, amazing score that you need. And I actually found myself in a crossroads. I found myself basically getting into 2 of the top schools that I want to get into. For me, I'm a native New Yorker, so I was just like, all right, I'm working hard for this. I know this is what I want in my mind for my career to be successful in life. and it's either Columbia or New York University, because I want to stay in New York, and I got into both. At the same time, I was just like, this brand is doing considerably well in terms of the traction we were getting. Like, what does it look like? Do I lay that down and pursue law school? Because once you get into law school, you're going to need to be a lawyer to pay those very real law school bills. So I knew once I got into that law school, especially Columbia, I'm sorry, but that yearly, tuition is astronomical. So I knew once I got in, I would have to basically, because I landed on Columbia being the law school of my choice, just because it was an Ivy League. And I was just like, what are the chances? This is just such an amazing opportunity. But I really just knew in my heart that I was actually living my passion on the side. It wasn't at that law firm where I was working as a paralegal. I didn't see it in Columbia Law School and becoming a lawyer. I actually had one of the corporate lawyers that I worked with come to one of my events, and she actually told me some amazing advice. She was a photographer, or a journalistic photographer on the side, and absolutely loved it. Did not see it as a career, similar to how I view the fashion industry. And she came to one of my events and was just like, Cindy, this is amazing. She was just like, if this is something that you love, that you want to pursue. And she opened up to me about, how she felt about photography and how she laid it down. And, she really inspired me to really pursue beyond, in my mind, the traditional route of a career, but really pursue a passion of mine that I had throughout my life. And so I decided to defer and really see what it looked like to give the fashion industry my full attention, and what it looked like to proceed without the thought like, okay, this is something I love to do on the side, this is something that gives me life, however, it's not what I can make into my career. Put that thought aside and really pursue what I had in my heart wholeheartedly, without fear. Fear is always going to be there, always, but you have to transcend that fear. And that's what I decided to do. And I decided to pursue a career in fashion. And I found myself trying to find out, okay, how does this look like? What does this look like? I started applying to these different jobs. Like, I had one, fashion business under my belt, and I thought I could proceed right into a career from there. However, I didn't get the response I thought I would. I didn't find that people were responding with a lot of open doors. It was kind of difficult to get into one of these companies. And at the moment, I quite didn't understand why. And I just want you to stay tuned for my tips, where I will outline different tips of how to enter it quite easily. Because, this point I found myself in, I didn't really have a mentor or an advisor in the fashion industry that could really explain to me why.